I love graduating 11. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, brings back memories.
Yeah.
We have a shot of dirties in there.
Yeah.
Next stage of my life, and I
want to be the A, and which one do you want to be the Y's? Do you want your
This one, 'cause I know it's like the athletes. It's like the better.
It's way fucking nice. It's way nicer. Like,
Oh, wait, come on, it's so beautiful.
Do you have a serving spoon?
it was so hard. So we shot a lot of it, in West Campus and
Like, or am I just
we had such a hard time.
I like the crazy dolls.
Yeah, because
I like that.
otherwise
Like,
it's gonna be huge.
When you're not a student, as soon as you're not a student, they
How every celebrity is like.
Roll the camera and sound.
I'm Caroline Tuohey, and today I am talking to independent film producers Lucas Ford and Joey LePage. We're also super lucky to have some original paintings by Jay Hartmann in our scenery. Thank you guys so much for joining us, Lucas Ford and Joey LePage, for the first episode of Humanade. There's a really strong sense of environment in all of your work. Party people specifically, what kind of environment did you grow up in? And maybe less like the nuts and bolts and more like how did that shape the work that you do today or the work that you started off doing? And then talk us through up until when you met Joey.
Yeah, of course. So I grew up in a small town in Canada. There wasn't really too much to do there outside of playing hockey, and I was always messing around with the camera. And in story, you're usually starting with like a character or a place, and when you have a character who's connected to a place, I feel like that is something that really interests me. I moved away from my hometown when I was 17, and I moved to Toronto, went to film school there, and then when I was 23, moved to LA. So I feel like I've grown up in my adult life in so many different spots that I feel like I, have like very strong feelings towards like these different chapters in life, whether it's something like Party People, when it's that kind of college age where you're, at such an impressionable age, and these are like memories that shape the rest of your life. A theme that I always try to look at is both character and place.
Is that something that when scripts come to you, those are maybe the two things that jump out the most?
Like the more hyper specific you can be, I think the more relatable it can ultimately be in a universal storytelling. Yeah.
So then you went to USC.
Yeah, that's where
for
Joey and I
MFA.
met. Yeah.
got our MFAs together.
Nice. What was your first impression of Joey?
Oh my gosh, it sounds like some kind of marriage story here.
Yeah, it is.
I think Joey and I connected, very much on, I think, our passion and love for films first and foremost.
It's a very polite answer, but I don't think this is the honest answer.
We'll get
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I think we connected over pop punk. Listening to that, we lived in the same apartment building, and we would drive 30 minutes to campus and rock like pop punk. I think that's where we actually
punk.
Yeah. Dumb punk from like the early aughts.
Angsty, my angsty teen.
Okay, you gave us the honest answer.
Sorry,
Yeah.
call you out. It's a very pretty answer, but
Sure.
Did you were in the same year, the same, is it like a cohort?
It's a small program.
Yeah, it's only 24 people, and these are kind of the people that you're really in the same class doing everything with for 2 straight years.
Yeah.
So I think, the grad school program like really helped form that. Yeah. And even though we went separate ways, like after graduating, I went more into the studio system, started in kind of festivals and working on kind of the studio side of producing, to then going back into independent producing, which I'm sure we'll get into that.
We kind of split up after college for a little bit, but I mean, our program was very close. Like
I remember I would go over to Joey's apartment, and he would have like a washable eraser, and he would write on the mirrors like, okay, we'll break this story, like maybe we could do this. And like, we never made those movies, but it was
One
like
day.
a good it was like a good starting point.
But yeah, so how you were an actor and are a writer. So yeah, tell us a little bit about the environment you grew up in and then how that shapes you as a storyteller.
Yeah, I grew up in Texas, a little town outside of Austin called Georgetown. I think for me, I did theater. Filmmaking wasn't really a big part of my artistic growing up, and I loved movies, but theater was what was accessible.
Yeah.
So I went to New York as soon as I graduated college. Went to college at University of Texas. Went to New York, and I did theater for about 6 years. Before sort of transitioning more into filmmaking. I started doing commercials and doing little short films and stuff, in addition to theater stuff. And
You did Shakespeare, a lot of Shakespeare.
I did a lot of Shakespeare. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was like kind of one of the big parts of,
And experimental theater.
a bunch of experimental theater,
Love
a
it.
bunch of weird yelling and screaming and rolling
Yeah.
around naked and,
Yeah.
experimental theater. And then a bunch of Shakespeare. Yeah, I did a bunch of regional Shakespeare and stuff. I loved it. Looking back on it, I really loved that time.
So did you have a moment where I started as an actor too, and I had sort of an abrupt, like, I actually don't want to do this and I want to be behind the camera. I know a lot of actors who it's a slower transition into other parts of the business, filmmaking, whatever. So was there a moment for you where you...
I don't know if there was like a specific, I wish I had like that crystallized moment. I still enjoy acting quite a bit.
Good.
I do like doing it. I don't do it that often, but it was more out of I think it was born from, I was making a bunch of theater in Bushwick and in New York, and like wearing every hat, acting, writing, running the light board, sound designing, was doing every single piece of it, and like producing film. And then I remember a friend of a friend was like, hey, I need help on set, like filming this commercial. Will you come help? And I was like, sure, whatever, great. And all my film experience up to that point had just been on, this side of the camera and had been acting and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is interesting too. And it felt like a natural extension of just like, I don't know, this sounds so pretentious, but like I view a lot of filmmaking, I think, more like a theater maker, where it's like you have to wear a lot of different hats and do a lot of stuff by dint of just like, what you have to do to get something made. Right. And so it didn't feel as cut and dried as I'm making the decision to do this other thing. Yeah. Which is why like the producing program I went to was so attractive to me, which was, I want to have my hand on every piece of the different process and know how to do it all and get it made, and I was not interested in going to like a film production program that was like, I'm just going to learn editing,
like
and I didn't want to be a specialized, learn one specific thing.
Right. So on that note, Lucas, you are a producer. Like,
I had the exact opposite.
So you were like focused. When did you know you wanted to be a producer, and how did you know what a producer was? Because
exactly.
Yeah.
I started in my hometown, taking my parents' cameras and making projects with my friends. Yeah. It started out as like doing prank videos, jackass videos, backyard wrestling, the most
and you were
redneck.
Like, this is the best.
This was like so fun.
What role were you? Were you naturally
I didn't know what
like,
it was.
All right,
I was
team?
the person that was but also directing, editing, shooting.
Cool.
I didn't know what that was. So I started taking all these videos and making compilations and putting them on DVDs and selling them at school for like $3. And I sold like all 50 of them, and it was like, oh yeah, is this producing? I didn't know. When I went to film school, I did go to the traditional production program in Toronto, and the first class was making a short film on these old World War II cameras that had 3 turret lenses where you load the film. And I loaded the film incorrectly. And I was trying to do a movie that was like a play on Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. And the footage was like so experimental, and my film professor thought it was like the greatest thing ever.
Oh my God.
But I had like a panic attack while I was filming it because I didn't know what I was doing, and I realized in that moment I didn't care about the little details of like, look, I think that's where working with the director that's like the scarf is red, this is that. I just like the big picture and making things happen.
Yeah. You like setting things up, I think, is what I...
Setting things up.
You almost like were like, okay, once I've set it in motion and once it's there on set, I'm already thinking about the next day and thinking about the other thing and hoping that hoping that it runs well. But
yeah, and you have to like oversee it when it's happening, but like, it was really quickly that in undergrad, I knew I wanted to produce.
Yeah.
So that was like, late teens.
Okay.
And I knew that was what I was doing. So I quickly started producing all my classmates' projects. Came like
Oh my God, you must have been the most popular. No one wants to.
No one wanted to.
No.
But I got like a thrill on like doing that and just being not like needing to be like the person that is like the voice of the movie. You obviously have a voice, but it's very much about like finding someone that has such a either personal or important story and being that person for them that can like push it into existence. That to me is so exciting.
I'm curious about what does every day look like for you? Are you working on a bunch of different projects? And I guess like, okay, so you meet at USC.
Yep.
You said you work together there, but more in like a classroom capacity kind of. And then what brought you back together? And Party People was
that project?
That was the project. Yeah, that was the first one that brought us back together. We both sort of got jobs. We had jobs coming out of school, which was great. It was a different economy. I don't think that was.
Do they still have those?
Do they still have jobs?
Do they still have jobs? I don't think so.
But we were both very fortunate. I worked for an awesome writer, director, producer deal at Amazon. I really learned a lot there and had a great experience. You know, I was enjoying it, but I just felt myself getting further away from making things.
Right.
And I could see myself and peers like, oh, we're getting promoted and having careers, and I'm not doing what I want to do.
Exactly. So in hindsight, when you...
I think I learned a lot of things. This is not like an anti-studio thing or an anti-going down that path. Like, I learned a lot, and it shapes exactly what we're doing now. Like what we know, what we hope we know the market wants, and what we hope we know, and those connections and all of that. So it was a really valuable, I think it was like probably 5 years between graduating and like going and making this movie. Would not trade that. It was absolutely what I should have done.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't like immediately go make a movie.
Right.
The movie was born out of like, okay, we just need to make something that, and I'm so glad we did. And it was like, what do we have? We like looked through all of the ideas that we'd been playing around with over the years. And I think from like idea to getting the script ready to getting ready to make it was like 2 or 3 months.
Oh my God.
It was that fast. And we were like, okay, here's something we have some access of places to do. Lucas said earlier, sorry, circling back to the conversation, I wanted to, again, you give such pretty answers, and I want to give the real answers. So like the story and the place, that's the environment. It's like, I think the specificity of environment and place is also born out of like
necessity.
Necessity. If you don't have a lot of money and a lot of resources, and you're shooting in, you know, I don't know, Beaumont, Texas, make it look like Beaumont, Texas. Don't try to make it look like Toronto or LA. Like, you're going to spend a lot of money trying to make it look like a different thing that it's not. Dig into what you got. And the easiest production design of all is just go outside and get stuff. And like, that's already there and pre-existing. One of the hacks for indie filmmaking is like, don't try to make it look like a studio shot on a location in a controlled environment, because
people will see through that right away. You kind of have to play the cards that you have available, right?
Right.
And
especially for first movies.
How does that where does that come in then to your writing process? It's like, is it you first it's like, well, what do we have? And then ideas, but you say you had some ideas like percolating.
We had ideas, and it was putting it together. It was like, the movie was born out of like, what do we have access to? My dad worked at in his career, worked at this college in Georgetown, Texas. And I was like, I think we know enough people there that I can get access to that. There's also these other like weird locations in Austin that I have. And like, we sort of cobbled the story together from the resources that we had and found something that we're like, here's a story I like that could exist in these spaces. And here's a lot of free production design. For that movie, we did not spend, not no money, but almost no money on locations themselves. It was things that were like walking into a convenience store and talking to them, telling them what it is, and him being like, great, I'm gonna leave you the keys at 10 p.m. I'll be back at 6 a.m.
And it's kind of like building
as long as you got insurance.
As
long as you have an insurance policy, and it's like, we treated those places correctly, and we built the trust, and we built it with the community.
Made them part of the movie.
So is that obviously it's like, that wouldn't work in LA, right? Like just going into a convenience store. Or maybe, and then Lucas, if you want to talk to shooting in Texas. Well, first of all, at what point did you get?
Sorry. This is something I was like, I'm going to make this thing. I had been talking to Lucas. Lucas had been, I mean, I'd let you speak to it, but like had been, you know, yearning to go out there and start making something, and I was trying to convince him to, come.
I have an idea.
Come help out.
I mean, after graduation, I worked at for a director and producer as well. Worked at a production company called 21 Laps, and these just big studio films, and learned the process and the politics of like working with inside the system. It's such a thrill when you're involved in that environment. And like I said, I having that perspective is just something that most indie producers don't have.
Is that true? Is that it's
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like kind of like what Joey was saying earlier, you have to kind of look at like what that end goal is of what you're trying to do. And as long as whatever you're doing, if you're working a job in Hollywood or you're making projects with just your friends from the beginning, as long as you're like pushing towards like that goal, everything can be in service of that.
And what is the goal? Is the goal just the finished product or the
finished product, process, making it a little bit more sustainable, being able to have a little bit more leverage with the projects we're making. And you know, like where I came into play was, you know, I'd spent also 5 years in the studio system. It was incredible. You know, there are a little bit of limits of like what you're like how much you can kind of grow in that environment, or like how hands-on you can be with the movie when there's, you know, 10s, 20s, 30s sets of people that have to weigh in on that. You know, Joey had called me and said, look, I think we're going to make this movie in Texas next year. I'd love for you to produce it. And, you know, I kind of brushed him off a little bit at first and was like, I was like, this sounds amazing.
That's the crafty budget for one day on Free Guy.
Well, I mean, I was just like, dude, I mean, I would love to do this, but like, I can't quit my job to go do this. This is the jump that a lot of people would like to do and maybe don't do. And I kind of tried mapping it out, right? And I was like, I think I'm like really focused on the business I'm trying to build within this company. And, you know, and then another movie that I was kind of quietly developing got funding, and it kind of, there was like an opportunity to go make 2 independent movies back to back, because I was kind of feeling a little stuck as well.
Okay.
And it was like, at some point you're either going to be working within the system and you have to kind of wait for someone to give you that green light, or you go after it yourself. And I think it could be burnout, it could be losing the spark a little bit, but I didn't want that. So it was like, Joey had hit me up later. He's like, I got a little bit of the starting money. I have some of the cast
this is
from
after he had first come.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And then he's like, I got some of the cast, like we're still looking for someone. And I just like had such a, you know, I had to think about it over the break, and I was like, you know what, like this feels right. Like the script's good, but also like I love these people and I really want to get my hands dirty on a project. It might be, you know, sure, a smaller project, but like everything that I do will actually have like a bigger impact on something like this.
Had you gotten any producer credits?
Yes, a lot of shorts, and I had done a couple features, but not as the lead producer.
Okay, so this was
like the first one, and the idea was, if I leave this job, I will do these 2 movies back to back, and if I strike out swinging and go broke, I'll try to get a job in the fall. I have enough kind of like a plan to figure this out. And what ended up happening was just like nothing but momentum. More projects started coming, and I'm sure a
lot of people want, this is only the beginning, but like from then it's just the projects keep building.
To a point now where like in 2.5, 3 years, I've made 5 features, have a slate of projects and all of these things that Joey and I work a lot on these together. And
I was trying to like I was like, oh, I'm going to make a timeline to see like what all the order of their films. And they were all in 2024, 25. Like I was like, okay, this is not as much of a timeline. I was just like,
and it's still evolving, right? Like we have 2 movies in post right now that are going to come out later this year or next. And you know,
we were discussing a cut this morning on the drive-in.
Oh my gosh! So from that moment when you reconnected on Party People, it's been like
we just had a really good working experience together, and I think like, you know, it's rare to find people that I think have like the same passion and values. Like I think we try to, any of our movies try to, you know, firstly be like good humans and good people, and like try to run our sets that way. But it felt like lightning in a bottle, and like even like when we premiered in Texas, like at Austin Film Fest, and we had 3 back-to-back sold out screenings with like hundreds of people turned away. It was like, man, like people showed up for us in the way that we tried to
Yeah.
do that when we were making it for them. Yeah.
So you directed the film
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
Was there a point at which you put your producer hat on? Or
Oh, totally.
were you always like, how do you work as a producer on a project you're also directing?
That's a great. I have a lot of opinions on that. I think because again, going back to the theater thing, I view a lot of these roles. Not that they're interchangeable. I don't mean that, but like I think it does take a lot
The
more.
lines are blurred too a little bit.
Well, the lines do get blurry, but in particular, on Party People, for example, like I'm not taking a producer credit on it because I value what he does. I value
okay.
the producer credit, and I think that I think more directors should do that, in my opinion.
Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like
Yeah.
someone who just is producing versus a producer credit, and I know like
Yeah.
having producer credit just so
It can
people
vary,
can
right?
understand.
It can vary. The producers, it's the haziest title in the industry.
Yeah.
And you can get it for a lot of different reasons,
Mm-hmm.
and not all of them involve as many hours of work.
Yeah.
But I think there's like a lot of auteur love out there for
Mm-hmm.
a singular vision of somebody who is the writer, director, producer, some editor, lead actor, and a lot of
Yeah.
I personally don't like making stuff that way. I
Mm-hmm.
just don't. That's not like this. I like a communal effort of people, and I like the voices being heard, and I like people working together. And I think some of those credits should reflect that. It is purely I value what you do, and I'm not going to say I do this, this, and this. And your one credit is the same as we both have producer credits, but I also get all these other credits. It's like, no, that's yours. I don't get that.
And it's been
Yeah.
used as like a bargaining chip
Yeah.
by agents and managers of like, you
Yeah.
know, oh, the lead actor, she should also be an executive producer.
Producer.
Yeah.
And there are definitely times when it is warranted.
Right.
100%. If they are bringing in or helping with the packaging or materially,
Absolutely,
you know,
Yeah.
doing that producerial type work, where it blurs the lines is when they're asking for kind of a lead producer credit. That's the only credit that I would get.
Yeah.
And
He doesn't get to have a co-directing
and-
credit,
Right.
or like it's like
Yeah.
I don't.
and I'm giving notes on the script
Exactly.
and
Yes.
literally going with the editor
Yes.
and director
Yeah.
to re-edit the movie.
You've edited, like he was at the monitor editing some of the movie with me.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And he's not going to.
But the only other point I would make is that like where I look at it, especially when we're talking about like producer credit, not EP, not associate producer,
Right.
co-producer, but like the lead producer of the movie. If whoever is getting that, I am the person that is going to be picking up the phone years later when we get an audit. I am the person that is responsible for the
Right.
safety, financial, creative intent, everything.
Yeah.
And when those folks ask me for a producer credit, I will kindly ask, will you also be sharing that responsibility?
Right.
And they'll, oh, no.
Yeah, I'll stick
no.
2 years from now, are you going to be going through
Yeah.
the festival submissions with us? Are you going to do that?
It is such an amorphous term. And you are responsible
For everything.
For everything. And also, I'm sure it, you know, as you were saying, your story of you left your job to do these two films back to back, it's like you put everything into this,
yeah.
so the credit should reflect, just as it does.
Yeah.
Just as, you know, I'm sure you and the script have a strong relaelationship, but
We do.
your wife is
She's the writer. That is her credit. Yeah, and again, it's not. I sound like I'm being mad about it. It's I see a lot. I also think that there's like, for all the directors out there, it's a smart thing to let your producer please have that credit, because they are going to feel empowered because of that. And if you're also taking that credit and it's 3 years from now and they've been paid $2,000 for 3 years of work, why are they going to keep doing this if they're also sharing this credit with you? And we have seen, I think the producer should be honored just as much as the director on a lot of these projects. I know a lot of friends, people, peers in the industry where some writer-director comes out, has a really cool project, they make it wins Sundance, they get lots of accolades. Blumhouse or somebody really cool comes along, picks them up, and you better believe those producers get left behind. 9 times out of 10, those producers get left behind. And I think on a lot of indie projects, they are just as integral to like what that was.
To making that person's career.
To making that career and making just the vision of what it is. Because it's like on an indie set, everybody's wearing a lot of hats.
Right.
And a lot of time the producer, I think, is a little, you know, it's somebody coming along, like the big professional team that's coming on and picking out one player. And it's like, wait, we as a team made this, but you guys are only pulling out.
So what does
this
that
one
look
thing.
like? Yes, of course you want to be on the film still, but like what is going on at that stage that you would want to still be?
Yeah, I think it depends with,
Dependent project, yeah.
Project to project, what your involvement is. But what I usually like to do, especially on a movie like Party People, I'm involved in every part of it. We're in the development, we're during the fundraising, during production, during post editing, but we're constantly, we're still meeting, once a week to talk about distribution and production on this movie, which is, kind of viewed as like, everything that the movie is.
Yeah.
It's 18 days.
Yeah.
We've been working on this for 3 years.
Yeah.
95% of your money is spent on those 18 days,
Yeah.
and then the rest of the time that's what it is. That's what
That's honestly what producing is. It's like very persistently pushing that boulder up the hill at all stages. Just because you made the thing and it did, it did well. We obviously want it to do as well as it can, but it's like no one's coming to save you. So you got to keep pushing it. You got to keep pushing it. And if I stop doing my job, being responsible for the movie's success and the release and everything, I'm just as involved in a lot of the marketing and distribution conversations to help guide what Joey and Lindsay's vision is for the movie.
But do you think if you hadn't been as like on the ball and like as a good producer, could you have seen this film getting away from both you and Joey at that stage?
100%. I mean, on these type of projects, if I don't do my job, it will die. You have to look at each movie. You're like an entrepreneur. You're starting a business. You're making the product. If you make a great product, but no one knows how to find it, I mean, and not saying that we know all the answers. We're actively still...
We're talking about this now.
We're talking about this now and all the different changes that the industry has had with distribution. But, I think the projects that I think do well are when there's teams behind it that are aligned and are constantly pushing it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we just pat ourselves on the back after we did the shoot, I mean, this would have been buried. I mean, we're still, after our premiere, still it takes so much time to set up, especially if you're you want to do it the right way and not have a distributor just pick up your movie and dump it on digital.
Right. Yeah.
To get involved and to make sure it's done in the right way, that can take a year or two to even get set up, and all the additional money that needs to be raised for distribution and booking theaters and getting the right poster and marketing assets and doing your delivery of the movie with all the legal chain of title and tech deliveries.
Yeah, and 10 movies a year are going to get 10 truly independent, not sort of independent, but 10 truly independent films a year are going to get into Sundance, and then another 10 are going to get into South by. And if you're not one of those, you still have to figure out how to get your movie out there and do stuff with it.
That's part of the commitment.
And if you don't get into one of those, nobody's coming to be like, hey, great movie, we're going to take and we're going to do everything for you. And if they are coming to do that, they're going to be taking all the money that comes along with it.
And we didn't do this just to like make the thing and be like, well, on to the next.
Good for us. Yeah.
Like when you commit to doing a project, you have to see it through. When you're trying to build a career as an indie producer and you have a slate of projects, I'm talking to all 5 of the directors every day. And like pushing and taking what I'm learning from this and the relationships with this festival, this sales agent, this financier, and applying it to other ways. Even if it takes me and us a longer time to get where we want to be, we're not taking any shortcuts. We're doing the work. Look, people can make their first feature and it goes to Sundance and they're rep by CAA and A24 wants to buy their movie and that's great and their career's made. I'm so happy for them. I want them to continue doing that.
That is so few people.
And increasingly less.
It's become so crazy because everyone can make a movie now.
Yeah.
So it's become overloaded in terms of like the amount of movies. Those festival slots at Sundance, South by, in the top 5 or 6, the slots aren't getting any bigger. They're staying the same size. So they've become so overloaded and there's so many quality movies that can't play there. They just can't, they don't have the slots to support it. And then the second tier festivals also are getting overloaded. Because of all of that, it's a buyer's market for distributors. They can choose whatever they want and lowball those filmmakers because there's so much selection. So that's why you're seeing at the major festivals these big buzzy deals where a movie's sold for 15 or 20 million. And then there's like a couple other ones that are star driven or have, elements in them that are famous people or whatnot. The true indies, it's like a small percentage of the ones that can actually break through. It's become even harder. So if that doesn't happen for you, you have to learn how to get a film out. There are a lot of great successes. People always point to movies like Hundreds of Beavers or movies like Good Boy, and that can happen for a select few. But you have to be prepared that if it doesn't happen for you, what you do next.
And you can't just quit on it.
You might not have that project immediately that catches on like wildfire and, is that career-defining movie just yet.
Well, also the market, you were talking about sustainability, the market the way that it is right now. Sorry, this is such a long-ranging answer from where you started.
I don't even remember the question. That's fine.
Neither do we.
We're
having
obviously
a great
excited
time.
about
But we're
this.
talking about sustainability with all these ones that we're making. We're like, I don't know, I won't talk too specific, but like we're not making a lot of money as individuals on these things. And even the ones that I have been a part of and that you've been a part of and that friends of ours have been a part of that are known movies and are successful, you'd be surprised by how little money the people who are behind it are making on them, especially if it's like, great, we made $10,000 off that thing, but that was for 3 years of work or something like that. And how do you find sustainability in the other parts of your life and other jobs that you have to cobble together while you're doing these things? Because at this budget level, nobody above the line, there's nobody in the like producer, director, writer side that is making very much money on anything that's sub $1 million or sub $500,000. Like you're not making you're not making enough money to be your year or something like that.
And even if you take the stable career of working at a studio type job,
you don't have the time to go do that.
You can't do that. But also that path, with all the mergers, with everything going on,
You might get laid off.
you could spend your entire career trying to build that track just to get laid off. And then, you get like, that's where I start getting a lot of phone calls where those people are saying, hey, I'd really love for you to tell me more about indie producing. Like our big thesis, I think, is like trying to be as useful as possible as a producer, whether that means a micro budget movie, if that means a studio movie, if that means just supporting a creator. We have, pretty eclectic projects. We're working on everything from live action to animation to even some doc stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to be a producer that I can like come in on any project and be a guiding kind of force behind it.
Space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think going back to the festivals of it all, that's obviously something for anyone watching who is a new filmmaker. I have experienced this. You finish the film, you're so excited and relieved and like can't believe it happened, and then the festival game is like a crazy
Its own beast.
It's its own beast. So is there any way to have a strategy, maybe not just you guys know what you're doing as producers, but for younger filmmakers where it's like, I'm the filmmaker and I just want my film to get into a couple of festivals, and like maybe to the point about South by Southwest and Sundance, like, is it worth it to apply to those?
It is.
It is.
Sorry.
Okay.
Long and short, yes, because it can easily not change your life overnight, but it can be a huge boon for your career. So it is worth it, but I don't think you should pin your hopes on it. And we talk about it. We in the class that we're teaching, like, getting into Sundance isn't a strategy. That's just not a strategy. You can't assume that that's going to happen. It's a flyer, and it would be a great if it happens. Same with South by, same with TIFF, same with Cannes.
It definitely won't happen if you don't apply.
Exactly. So you should try, but you can't build your strategy around it.
But do you think it's smart for people, whatever the $100 entry fee is?
Yeah, I do.
Even if you're submitting on like Film Freeway or whatever, and you don't know anyone.
I think so.
I think so for sure. I mean, like if you don't believe in your movie,
then
if you don't think you did a good job, probably not. But if you really think it's
save
good,
$100.
Then yes, I think you should, because there's always a chance, and I do think like
it can be intimidating when you see so many films of like people that have been supported in the lab or alumni or they have a famous person here, but like the role of festivals, I think, in the best programmers is discovery, and nothing is more exciting by being the first person to discover someone. That's number one skill, I think, outside of like passion and tenacity, is like resilience. You're gonna deal with so many rejections and no's, like honestly every day, where you become numb to it, and then you're like, and then what? No is just no for now. And like in terms of festivals, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
There are so many examples of people that have been rejected from festivals, and a year later they've kind of played. Like I look at like, it's such a, I can say the project specifically because it was, announced, but like what's exciting to me is movies like The Undertone.
Oh, yeah.
They played at Fantasia. It was a smaller Canadian independent film that went crazy out of Fantasia, which is, like an amazing genre festival, but it's not Sundance, Cannes, Venice. But now has become an even more exciting spot for discovery. So you look at a movie like that, A24 picked it up, they bring it to Sundance this past year. If they just blindly submitted to Sundance, I'm sure, it might...
A really nice rejection letter.
Yeah, but I mean, I think for people that are starting out, you do want to be realistic. The festival game is also really vague because there's so many festivals, and there's so many kind of predatory festivals too, where they're just... you apply and everyone gets an award. I think you want to look at festivals that, have like a good presence and a good community behind them, and also look at what they're programming. Yeah. Like if you have a really fun stoner comedy and this festival is just doing social impact movies, probably not the best idea.
You're not going to meet people there who are...
to submit it. And people just submit blindly. And it is a lot of work, but I think that's where you can like work with a producer, ask for help from people. There's also like services now that help your festival strategy. But like for me, I learned that from like 10 years of doing this. Even the old like without a box days that people probably don't even know what that is. There's filmmakers, that release on TikTok or YouTube that have way more success than festivals, and festivals take so long. So I think it is they have a very viable role, and it is important, but it shouldn't be the only.
Shouldn't be the only thing. I think it should also be
especially for shorts, like
honest and candid about like what it is that you're doing with festivals, because I think you can, if you really want to meet people, it's a great way to meet people. If you really want to get exposure, it's a really great way to get exposure. If you really want to have fun and like, see what else is out there and see a bunch of movies, it's a great way to do it. I do think it is, but then be targeted about what you're doing, because you can spend a lot of money. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars.
And the best way to be targeted is really looking at the lineup.
Looking at the lineups,
but also what your specific movie can speak to. Our movie was a love for party people. It's a love letter to Austin. So if it's not South by Southwest, Austin Film Fest, amazing spot to premiere. We also had so many cast and crew that could show up. You don't want to just submit blindly across the world.
If you're film about Louisiana and you have hundreds of people there willing to support it, but you're going to premiere at, I don't know, the Bangor International Film Festival or whatever, like that might be great, but it also, even if that one might be slightly above one that is nearer to home, go to the one near home, because you're going to blow it out of the water and you're going to pack it out, and you're going to be next year they will invite you back. Like, what do you have?
Quality over quantity for sure. People love with their first film to show a poster with 50 laurels, and
everybody knows the laurel game too. You don't have to play 50 festivals. In fact, I think this is probably a benefit of us being a little bit older and having done. We're not 23-year-olds who are like starting to do this. There's nothing wrong with that, and there's a great way to meet that community. But like, we worked in the industry a little bit and like have some, I guess, perspective on like what a lot of these festivals mean. Not that they don't mean anything. I don't mean like that, but you don't need to play 50 of them and spend a year of your life and $20,000 traveling to all these places if you're not getting something out of it. It's varied. We both have like moonlit as like for festivals and for grant giving organizations. That's something that we both do in addition to producing, is like we've worked with Film Independent and several others, Sundance, and like reading submissions. And I can tell you very honestly, I know the sort of people who are doing this. It's a lot of smart people but your eyes glaze over when you're watching the 60th short for the day, and you're just like, it is exhausting, and you really should not take a rejection as like somebody was sitting there, or it's like your thing's not good. Somebody is sitting there. Not that people aren't paying attention. It's not that the people care a lot at the festival, but they're not looking at every frame like, this boom
They're
shot
not-
came in on that
yeah.
one shot. I don't like they're not
They're
looking
not
at it like
necessarily giving you the benefit of the doubt. Like
They can't afford to.
They can't afford to. Like I've had films where like my second short film, the opening shot is like, or a shot towards the beginning is like tech-wise something happened with the lighting, and I remember just being like, oh my god, I hope they think like. It's very noticeably like not pretty, and like I hope they think about like, oh well, I'm just like a student filmmaker, like there's a lot of stuff going on, but
let's look her up and see what she's
exactly. It's like they're just not giving you the benefit of the doubt, especially when they've seen 15 immaculate films.
And there's so
that.
little room for error,
Yeah,
which is so hard. So
Yeah.
rather than think about like, oh, the binary question of like, did my film get into Sundance? Is it good or bad? Yes or no? Or third party validation is like such a dangerous game,
so dangerous.
Yeah.
and you can't control that or what other people.
So just keep making more stuff and not worry about it.
Well, I think the thing is like even what you're saying with your the one shot with the lighting, it's like something as a producer, not that like I'm kicking myself after these films or we're proud of them at all, but for me, I try to just really focus on the process and being excellent at like what I'm doing.
Okay, so I feel like we could talk about festivals, distro, all that stuff forever, but I want to dive a little bit into production. So you both have 2 movies in post, and they're genre, right?
Yep, we got
One is genre, one's a rom-com.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a genre. Yeah.
So one was filmed in North Carolina, and the other one was shot in New York. So between Scarsdale, Westchester County, and Brooklyn.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
very different flavors.
Very different.
Yeah.
So I mean, we can talk about one, but I'm specifically curious about not shooting in LA. And obviously I'm sure people are aware of why that might be, but it seems like most of your work has not been shot in LA. What sorts of things are like possible? Why do you go to these locations?
I think I would just start with both Portal to Hell and How Was Your Weekend? I did shoot in LA.
Okay.
So there are definitely challenges. I think there's been a lot of like changes recently that have made it a little bit easier to shoot in LA. We had to kind of do it in very specific ways to, make sure that we were sticking on budget and staying compliant with everything. Mm-hmm. But for a lot of our movies, we've shot in states outside of LA, kind of at a necessity in terms of like calling them, it's like filming in a certain way where we call them like community driven, like grassroots type films, treating it like a runaway train where we're picking a date, we are picking an environment, and we're doing whatever we can to make that happen within there. Yeah. So for Henry's Ebb, we shot that in North Carolina, and we shot in a very remote location in the woods. The movie is a really beautiful, grounded drama that turns into a horror thriller. It's really beautiful. It's set in the back roads of the Southeast, and that project was part of the Frontiers program at Cannes last year. We won the top award for that, which was great, and that movie will come out later this year, which is awesome. Start the festival.
And that one, I just want to point out that one. You're right, shooting in LA versus not. This one, I guess we could have shot in LA, but like the environment wasn't like we would have really like we couldn't do a big giant LA production. It wouldn't make sense to do it here. And the filmmaker himself, our friend Thomas, he is from this area, and we shot it like right near his hometown. We're both working on several projects that are going to be shooting outside of LA. Outside, but then also in. But the ones that are outside, you're able to tap into a different type of resource. So you need to make sure it is a place in North Carolina. We were able to do like a nice little program with the local art college. There was like that we were able to bring in students who wouldn't get much access to this level of production.
And the state funding helped
us with that. Funding helped them. They were incentivized to do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
But then you're also able to do we're able to go hit up a bunch of restaurants and be like, hey, we're making this thing. The community gets behind it. They're donating meals and all these things. And there's small little costs here and there, but like able to do that in a way that in LA, there's so much production here that it is hard to get people as excited about production.
And we can bring them business, like all of our crew that needs hotels and the economic
renting
impact.
10 Airbnbs and like it means a bigger thing in that marketplace to take.
And they're
money
excited
there.
about film, like they've never had a film shoot there before. So,
but your producing game has to be on point because it is like
You're not talking to agents and managers. You're going into individual businesses
Yeah.
and making deals with like.
And you don't have
real
the
people.
infrastructure
Right.
to execute as well. Like,
Yeah. So did you have any synchronous moments where you're like, oh, perfect, like, you know,
Totally.
this just worked out? And then what was the worst? Like, did you have any of those things where you're just like, oh, I'm never going to recover from this?
For sure.
well, I mean, some of them were on the same day, burning a guy.
Oh,
No, I mean,
Please say
as a
more.
stunt.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. We did it in the movie. There's like a big fire stunt where we did a full burn. So basically, what that means is we had 5 different stunt guys that came in from Atlanta who did an incredible job, and they basically do a stunt where they light somebody on fire and fully
Like on fire?
fully on fire.
Head
And
to
they-
toe on fire.
Head to toe, and they
Are you
use.
joking? Wait.
No,
No,
for real. And you only get one take, and they give it's called like Nortex non-retardant or flame retardant.
They're covered in slime, basically.
And basically you get one take. There's 10 seconds, and our stunt coordinator had done this 200 plus times in his career on some big movies, and you know, it was like both logistically, creatively, and like managerially, like on the set in a remote location, finding a spot where we could do this stunt, and you have so much leading up to it, and you get one take. So we had 4 cameras. It's 10 seconds.
But I was gonna say some of the problems with it were like,
Yeah, I was like,
Of
is
course.
this the one that went right or wrong?
This
well,
one-
it ended up being right. Trust
Okay,
me.
okay,
But
good.
we had like on a budget this size, we get to do it one take because like you have to do a complete reset. Blah 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 blah. It is a lot of money for one of these. So and we're like we
You
budgeted
have to-
one
have
of these.
to
We have to
safety,
execute it.
yeah.
And it has to be safe. And so we're doing all this, and then of course thunderstorm rolls in the night before, and we're not even sure we're going to be able to do this. And it's like pouring. We're looking for like hour by hour when it's a break in the rain. To me, it's miles away from paved roads, and the fire department, who this was some problem solving. They're so excited about coming out, so they come out. And if we'd done it in LA, I'm sure this would have been like a very expensive thing.
Yeah.
They're excited to be there,
Oh,
so they're like, can a bunch of
I
us
come
come
back?
out? So
Yeah.
like 10 guys come out on set with like 2 fire trucks. But we're on these back roads that are very hilly and sleepy and are like washed out like dirt roads. And we're not even sure the fire trucks are going to be able to get
And this
back
is the end of
because
our
it's
first
pouring.
week of production. Out of
It's pouring. We're not
4
even
weeks.
sure. Like, we don't know if they're going to. And basically, the guys who ran this little place, they start helping these guys out. They bring them in this like, they clear some brush and bring in the trucks a whole other like 5 miles around to come in this other way. They're driving guys in on their 4-wheelers, like the local dudes, because they're like helping us out on these muddy backwater roads so that we can execute this in a safe way. And we did.
There's just a lot of parts, right?
Yeah.
You have like
You have this whole team of crew that's sitting there, these stunt guys, and they're like, we're paying them a lot of money to be here, and
Yeah.
we really need to get this. It's like,
and it's just like
Yeah.
this one shot. It's got to be like there was
if
a
this
certain
is a trailer moment,
hour-
we need
Yeah,
this.
exactly.
and like our insurance was only good until like midnight, so it had to be done at like 11.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to pay another $10,000 or something
Oh
like that.
my
So it was like all of these
Yeah.
perfect things that like. I remember we got the take, and I just like quietly like put my headphones and like,
You're like,
and then just like I was like, Joey, cover set. I need like a second because I've been like a ball of anxiety for the last like 3 hours, and it went so well and safe, and
Yeah.
it looks incredible.
That's so exciting. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
We're going to try and tie a few things together.
Cool.
So I have a
Yeah.
couple questions. And, don't have to be one-word answers, but kind of like what's the
Rapid
first
fire.
thing that comes to mind. So if the two of you had to find a common thread between the projects you've worked on, what would it be?
Achieving a lot with a little.
That's amazing and not...
In genre
Yeah.
agnostic.
Genre
Yeah.
agnostic.
We want to be able to do any project.
Yeah. Yeah.
You couldn't be a producer if you didn't love like crazy challenges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's something that makes you excited about the future of filmmaking?
How many young people are into going to movies, and like
Yeah.
how much people get off on watching letterboxed 4s, and like people like there seems to be like a renaissance of people like wanting to go to vidiots, and like that excites me. That I think it is
Yeah.
still like people want fun experiences, and it's becoming a more communal thing.
Right.
I think like there's a little bit of like an indie revival of like not even like the 70s or 90s, but like right now it's kind of punk rock to go make a movie
Yeah.
that you know, there's so many great indie movies, like a movie like Fuck Toys or Hundreds of Beavers, and people can make very distinctive things without having the permission first. And I think naturally that creates such a like unique wave of voices for those stories to be made.
And then I probably should have started with this one, but it's something that makes you nervous.
I think there's just so many people making movies. It's a good thing, it's a bad thing, but
It's hard to break through.
It's really hard to break through. And, you know, you can't kind of say, oh, we're doing this at the wrong time. We would have, if I did this 20 years ago, I'd have a Paramount deal by now. Those crazy bidding wars at Sundance have become a lot harder to come by, and they're kind of manufactured. So I think like with so many people making things, it's become even harder to really break through and to like make it sustainable.
I think it's sustainable. I think there is what worries me is the influence of money on, it sounds so cheesy, but on all of it, and the influence of tech and money on all of it. As the budgets increase, people want a surefire hit. They want something. And so I think that really waters down what's exciting. And I think money and investment is very scared to come in right now.
The rise of AI, and specifically generative AI, is kind of, I don't know, I feel like we're in a weird moment where no one quite knows the effect that's going to have on the humans behind
that scares me immensely.
It's and to your point of that's just gonna make
people can now make their own studio of AI movies in several days. That's crazy. But I think the antidote is really like, again, what we're trying to do is really make stories that, you know, move people, whether it's laugh, scare, cry, something that entertains somebody, that is like process driven, that's character driven, that's director driven, that has like a tactile kind of thing to it that
has a voice or has some texture to it. I'm not scared of it in a sense. I'm actually not scared of it in a sense of like somebody could show me a Sora video and like look at it and it's like, I frankly don't care. People choose to consume things that they want to consume, and I think it's like a bit on the consumer to be like, if we don't want this, don't consume it. And I think like if studios, I hear a lot of people in studios like, we're gonna find ways to make this efficient, and like all I hear is, you're gonna find a way to cut jobs. You're trying to find a way to save money and cut jobs.
Bottom.
This would not be as valued as it is if it weren't about you making labor saving costs, and I'm just not interested in that. And it doesn't, and I think like, sure, even if they make, if they have some AI thing that could make the VFX process faster, I don't trust the people who are employing it, because I know why they're employing it, because it is to cut jobs. And I don't think,
not for the benefit.
With all the recent acquisitions that are happening right now, and a lot of people have to get laid off, nobody wants that. And so we should say, no, we don't want to do that.
It's up to us to really understand the differences between like a natural evolution of technology that VFX artists use to to propel their craft, their art, versus the cynical, you know, top-down initiative that is clearly like, it's from what I'm hearing both of you saying in your experience and your projects is really about this deeply human process that is so unpredictable and ever changing, and
that's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it interesting, is the human voice behind it. It's just to me not interesting.
And if people are continuing to watch, you know, again, mass-produced verticals or AI content, people will still make, you know, it's supply and demand. People will continue to make those, but it's up to smart audience goers to choose like the human quality to it.
I also think it's up to the people who have a lot more power than us, the big actors, the big people in Hollywood, to reject this, because it's like they're going to be okay if XYZ Hollywood, you know, not Oscar-nominated actor decides he's going to lend his voice to this stuff. They're going to use it, and it will put a lot of people out of work underneath them. And so I think it's really incumbent on us to be really loud. Fortunately, like Hollywood is a very unionized place. Hollywood is better positioned to resist this than most other industries, where there isn't voices. I mean, if a bunch of accountants are going to get laid off because of AI saving tools in Duluth, like they don't have Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise stumping for them, and we do. We have those people, and so we have a lot more
influence.
We have a lot more influence to say, nah, we're not gonna do that. And I think like even if it can, like a lot of other industries, I think are going to get hit, and they're going to get hit bad, and it sucks. They will let it in as much as we will let it.
Exactly.
It will come in as much as we let them in, and if we don't, it won't. I think.
Cool.
I hope.
Yeah.
I think that's a good note to leave it on. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
This was so informative and inspiring, and we're so grateful for you being here.
Yeah.
Can people find your work anywhere?
Fortunately, all of our movies are about to come out in the next like 6 months, or where things are going to start coming out.
I think socials like on Instagram is probably a great way to start. On IMDb to check out what we're doing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're gonna have some really fun announcements soon about where you can watch these movies. We're gonna have a handful come out this year, and a couple that are in post that will be on the festival circuit soon. So we're excited for a really good year ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Lucas Ford, Joey LePage,
Thank you
for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.